Greetings, Dragon Ball fans, and welcome to part 2 of What If Chi-Chi Was World Champion, where, as suggested by Jehovah Ras Tafai, Chi-Chi takes aim at the 24th World Martial Arts Tournament in hopes of taking the mantle of World Champion for herself, though mainly for all that food and college tuition money. Unlike part 1, done on the 1st of April, this version will not be overly rhymey, because goddamn that was a lot of extra work. Not that I didn't try, mind you. I got through this recap part, but after banging my head looking for rhymey clues, I have given up on the rest. Maybe next April I'll do another part of something in that way, or some other way, if people liked it enough. Anyway, and previously, in the alternate future timeline, the death of Goku due to the heart virus left Chi-Chi and Gohan without much of an income. So, deciding not to rely on Ox King's questionable fortune, and seeing a photograph of herself and Goku at the 23rd World Martial Arts Tournament, where she, reminded him of their betrothal, Chi-Chi decided to try her luck at the 24th. All things considered, they did pretty well. Chi-Chi managed to oust the otherwise destined to win Hercule Satan, while Gohan, who just went along with it for his mother's sake, and because he knew it was something his father liked, cleaned up nicely in the junior division too. Disaster then struck a few days later when 17 and 18 laid the smackdown, first on a town, then the remaining Z-Fighters. With the death of Piccolo, the newly minted Super Saiyan Vegeta, along with Krillin, Yamcha, Tien, and Chaozu, only Gohan was left. The pair of cyborgs then went on a killing and wrecking spree across the continent, finding the home of Son Goku along the way. They eventually got to Orange City, and seeking the strongest playthings, found their way to the Satan Castle Dojo. Surviving that attack, Videl sought the only person she thought stood a chance, the reigning World Martial Arts Champion, that lady called Chi-Chi. She found her, and her son, and finding herself very welcome, she started her training with them both. Things didn't go well, though, as the cyborgs are just, really strong, and Gohan still ended up falling to them, but not after he and Videl had fallen in with each other, in all the ways that really matter. The moment of his death triggered the slightly premature birth of his own daughter with Videl. Trunks also got his Super Saiyan, and after a few more encounters, Bulma finally completed her time machine. Videl was of course desperate to go, and Trunks wasn't about to refuse his only remaining master and training partner. Chi-Chi had wanted to go as well, but things might get a bit too confusing there, not to mention kinda cramped. So the Z-Fighters gather in the Wastelands, having sensed Frieza approaching with his father, and are just as shocked as the Fridge Clan members to see first an unknown woman and some child demolish their fodder soldiers, before the violet-haired boy joins in to take the fight to Frieza and Cold directly. The trio then approach the large group and say hello. None of them mention their names, but the woman is eyeing Gohan a bit weirdly when not engaging in child containment. Oh, and apparently Goku is due to arrive soon, so let's go wait for him, shall we? Great, this way. While they wait, Vegeta stares down the teenage boy, while the little girl, whose mother calls her Pan, is happy to play with anyone who wants to. Being the youngest there, Gohan kind of feels like it should be him. Not unless Mr. Piccolo wants to? Well, no, that's probably not a great idea. His idea of playtime is, Goku eventually arrives, and after saying hello again, the woman asks Gohan if he can keep playing with Pan while she and her friend go and talk to Goku in private. The boy does his usual spiel, while the woman gives Goku the medicine for his heart virus. She doesn't say much else, only nodding at the salient points, all while smiling over at the shrieks of laughter coming from her little girl. Goku is a bit put off by her wiping away the tears, but when this Trunks guy wants to measure his Super Saiyan, he is happy enough to comply. Their meeting over, the woman calls out to their daughter, who flies, yes, flies, over to her, and they all hop back in their funny-looking ship and vanish from sight and sense. Gohan is as weirded out as Goku was by the whole thing, but presumably Piccolo did hear some or all of it, so the dire news is relayed in full. Their training commences, and Gohan progresses nicely with both Goku and Piccolo to hand. In fact, they train so much that Chi-Chi is frequently left alone, staring out the window listening to the ruckus. In the back of her mind, she is, of course, worried about their finances. She can ask her dad again, but really, they should be able to earn their own way. If only he'd focus more on their radish farm sometimes. Maybe he could try helping with the taxes, too. Her eyes then fall on a photo taken shortly after her, proposal, back at the 23rd World Martial Arts Tournament. Oh, he'd won some money then, hadn't he? Enough to build this house, at least. How much was it this time round? She grabs yesterday's paper and takes a look. 7th of May? Well, that's a few months from now. And the winnings? They could finally put all that training to good use. Oh, and there's apparently a junior division this year. Perfect. If they can take both categories, they'll be set for at least a couple of years, given Goku and Gohan's appetites. That evening she floats the idea, and Goku's game, on one condition. He wants Chi-Chi to participate as well. What? Why? Surely with the two of them they can clean house, no problems. Well, sure, but Goku is having a rare moment of nostalgia and would really like to see her fight again. Besides, there's a couple of months, isn't there? Plenty of time to get her up to speed, right? Well, this isn't what she had in mind, but you know what? If it brings in the money, fine, she'll give it a go. What's the worst that could happen? News of Goku's participation in the 24th tournament gets around, and there are several others in attendance. Mr. Piccolo is there, of course, as is Krillin and Yamcha. Tien also shows up with Chaozu, but the little guy isn't there to compete, and Yamcha and Piccolo both mirror the sentiment. The latter is there to gauge Gohan's progress only. This news doesn't do much to alleviate Chi-Chi's minor freakout. The arrival of another, even less so, despite the well-wishings when they hear that Chi-Chi is going to participate too. Just like old times, eh, Goku? Do you think she'll propose to whoever beats her this time? Chi-Chi's red face and ear steam only makes it funnier. Until it doesn't. That other person, Vegeta, has of course shown up too, and is looking pretty smug next to Bulma and a small violet-haired bundle of poo and gurgles. If Kakarot is going to show off to the worthless drivel of this planet, Vegeta is happy to make him earn it. Goku considers the man for a moment, then smiles and nods. You bet. The junior division goes well enough for Gohan as he KOs his first opponent with ease. Then at least tries to give the second one a bit of a fair fight. At least until the first punch lands. Man, this is a waste of time, so thump, out you go. The junior finals is then Gohan facing down against a slightly older girl. She's at least got good form, and oh, okay then, just going straight at him, huh? Well, having seen his last two matches, she wants to get in some quick hits before dodging out of the way. To say she was impressed with him would be putting it mildly. She is both excited and just a little bit afraid of him. Gohan, meanwhile, is a bit confused. She's just so familiar, but he can't quite place it. He knows everyone in or around Mount Pazu, and after questioning her, she confirms that she's never been, though apparently it's quite nice there. The match over with a ring-out, Gohan offers her a friendly hand back up, and is then declared the winner. As she walks back to her frowning father, Videl swears to herself to see what this kid's all about. She'd been watching and training with her dad for years, and thought she was at least competent, but no, not even remotely. That last hit hadn't even hurt, it just somehow sent her flying. It's like some invisible force carried her out of the ring and just deposited her on the ground. She wants to know more, despite, or in spite, of her father's nervous chittering. The adult division kicks off with Hercule, or would it still be Mark at this point, facing Spopovich. But we all know how that song and dance goes. Chi-Chi then gets to wreck Jewel, but while she's very polite about it, Jewel is miffed to say the least, and claims to have taken it easy on the woman. Goku faces down Krillin, and, well, that also goes just as you'd expect. Vegeta gets his first shot and squares off against Tien Shinhan. Unfortunately, there isn't even time for a Kikoho. Tien's third eye does let him dodge at least once, but the dent in the stadium wall is where he belongs for coming between Vegeta and his goal. The semi-finals roll around, and Chi-Chi gets to go up against the mighty Hercule. He'd seen her match against Jewel, though, so is hesitant to be gentlemanly about it. Her son had also been quite nasty to his daughter, so there's no mercy to be had. His punches are the best punches, his kicks are the fastest, and not one of them actually connects, not even close. Honestly, if he wanted to announce his attacks so thoroughly, he should call them out or something. Maybe a billboard? Finally, the prince gets to shut up about all this dawdling and get on with his whole reason for being here, kicking Kakarot firmly in the keister, before the slightly less enjoyable task of beating up the guy's wife, just to make the point. They start slow, fighting in their base forms, and the crowd goes wild. The cheering isn't what Vegeta is after, but it's still pretty nice. They're here for him. They and his own son, hybrid whelp that he is, will soon get to see the fruits of his labor. Ever since Kakarot came back from outer space and that random kid showed up and went Super Saiyan 2, Vegeta has been chasing that dragon. And deep in space, Vegeta had finally caught it. And so, as Vegeta unwraps his surprise, to the shock of everyone, except, annoyingly, Goku, we will bring Part 2 to a close. How do you think this early rematch between Goku and Vegeta will play out? With the androids just around the corner, hopefully nothing too destructive happens. Well, find out next time on Dragon Ball, What If Chi-Chi Was World Champion?